the Raiders lost to the Chiefs on Sunday, and we both picked the Raiders to lose this game, but I feel like maybe you had mixed emotions about maybe the Raiders had a chance to pull off that victory during the game, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it? I mean, it's okay if you don't want to talk about it. It's like, I'll pat you on the back, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, early on in this game, the Raiders went up big. I want to say they went up 14-0 at one point in this game. Um, and I texted our group chat like, the Raiders are winning this game. And my reasoning was, when Josh Jacobs is winning, the Raiders win. And Josh Jacobs had just ran for his 63-yard touchdown, and I was like, if this is the way the game's going, we're gonna win. And I at the time the offense was playing very well, um, and the defense was getting necessary stops against the Chiefs' offense. Obviously, again, 14-0, right? The final score was 17-31. So clearly, things hit a complete stop after that drive where Josh Jacobs ran for 63 yards and I opened my mouth about 5 minutes too soon. Or, texted in a group chat 5 minutes too soon, but nonetheless. But yeah, I mean, the first two drives on offense and defense were pretty much perfect. Aiden O'Connell was on fire early. Really, I mean, even the entire game, pretty much. Like, this was his best game passing, I would say. But especially early on, he threw some dimes in this game. I actually sent you a tweet. If you want to kind of play it as I talk for a little bit, let me see who this is from.
Is it the one from
Or I
Marcus
guess,
Johnson?
yeah. So from Marcus Johnson on X, Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
But just a couple of, I guess, coaching decisions I want to kind of touch on while you play this. These are really good plays from Aiden O'Connell. But there was a 3rd-and-1 play where Devontae Adams, made a catch and he went upfield a little bit and got tackled, and it was pretty close to the line to gain first down.
Mm-hmm.
And he was marked short, and I saw the first replay and I was like, I think he got it. And then I see that Antonio Pierce to the challenge flag. And I'm like, okay, cool. I think he's going to get it. And then they show a slow-mo, and I'm like, his knee was down. He's clearly short. So now what are we doing? We're losing a timeout against the Chiefs in the first quarter of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't, sorry, I don't know if I clarified. It wasn't 3rd down. It was 2nd down. So then it became 3rd-and-1. So he threw a challenge to try to get first down on 2nd down when he still, even if you don't get the first down off the initial replay or, official ruling, not through a challenge, you have 2 more plays to get the first down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why waste the potential timeout for 1 yard? I get that it's the Chiefs and you want to play big, but really, if you want to be the Chiefs, you have to go out there and you have to go for it on 4th down sometimes, like the Lions do, like the Chargers do, like those teams are willing to do. And again, early on, the offense was playing great. They were on a roll. Like, I feel like they could have gone for it on 4th-and-1 and possibly got it if they didn't, do a dumb play call. But that was like midfield, maybe on the 40-yard line on our side of the 50-yard line, right? Later I think in that drive, the Raiders got stuck on like 4th-and-1, and it was on maybe like the 10-yard line, maybe the 20-yard line, I forget where. And they got stopped, and I think the Chiefs might have took a timeout or something weird happened. I don't think any timeout was called, but the offense stayed on the field for like 10 seconds, and then the camera panned to Antonio Pierce, and he like put his hands up like this, and then the field goal unit starts going up on the field. And again, it was like on the 10-yard line, 20-yard line, in the red zone, 4th-and-1. Instead of going for it and I don't know. I'm assuming going up. I think that was when it was 7-0. Carlson kicks a field goal and he misses the field goal. So obviously that hurts. It's like, well, if you went for it and you got it, it could have been 14-0. And then the following drive, Josh Jacobs goes for a 63-yard rush. For all we know, we could have gone up 21-0. There's always a butterfly effect. If they make the touchdown, then maybe they don't get the 63-yard rush, right? But regardless, it's like to beat the Chiefs, you kind of have to play big boy football, and they were being pretty conservative with, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, right? Playing it very safe. Or when it came to challenges, kind of not doing that. So just, last week when I was talking about Antonio Pierce, I was saying he's made some coaching decisions that I don't exactly agree with. This falls in line with that, right? And I feel like there was another one late in the game, but I'm not seeing it right here. But it was late in the game. I think the Raiders were already out of it, and the Chiefs were in the red zone, and the Raiders had to call timeout on defense with like 3, maybe 4 minutes left in the game on like a big 3rd down play because they had 12 men on the field. Or at least that's what the announcer said. But then they called, Antonio Pierce calls timeout. It's like his first in the second half. So now he's got 2 left, 3 to 4 minutes left in the game. You're down like 2 possessions. And then the camera pans to Max Crosby, who came off the field, and he's like pissed off and stuff. The previous play, Max Crosby got tripped up by like a tight end, and he kind of stayed down a little longer than usual on the field, right? I almost wonder if the timeout was taken just to get Crosby off the field because he was hurting. He was doubtful to play, and then by miracle he played, right? And then finally he goes down, he stays on a little longer than usual. That next play, 30 seconds later, timeout's called, get him off the field. So I thought that was weird, but the game was kind of over at that point. So if that's what they were doing, I don't exactly blame them, right? But I did think it was odd. But
so my question for you is, the offense scored 17 points, right? You said Aiden O'Connell really played well, throughout the game, and Josh Jacobs was, seemed to be having a great game. What do you think is responsible for the offense only putting up 17 points, from your perspective?
It's got to be the conservative play calling. Like, I think O'Connell was making fine choices. And again, early in the game, he was making some of those throws that were like, wow, like that's a pro quarterback. That's a guy who starts in this league throwing like that. But then it was a lot of short yardage, and then trying to run Jacobs, but it doesn't work. Jacobs went for, I think it's 20 carries for 110 yards. But 63 of those yards came on one rush. So 19 carries for 50 is his average if you take away that one rush, right? Mm-hmm. That's not a good average. So I think the Chiefs were stopping the run, and they were forcing the Raiders to beat them through Aiden O'Connell. And although I would say he had his best game, it still wasn't enough to beat the Chiefs. And really, like, the way I feel, and just to give a couple other stats, I mean, Aiden O'Connell, 23 for 33, 248, no interceptions, 1 touchdown. Jacoby Myers, 6 receptions, 79 yards, a touchdown. Devontae Adams, 5 receptions for 73 yards. Mm-hmm. No fumbles for the offense. I don't even think they turned the ball over. I really don't think so. But I don't think the Chiefs did either. And that was kind of a big difference in past Raider games. They've been averaging like 3 turnovers on defense, for the Raiders. And in this game, they get none. So that's probably part of it. And then the Chiefs, once they started getting going, they just it was uphill for them and it was stagnant for the Raiders because it went from 14-0 to almost not scoring again the rest of the game. So really, I think to summarize, the Aiden O'Connell, Antonio Pierce, and Bo Hardigree experience so far, the Raiders offense seems to start the game really well prepared. Like it's well scripted or whatever it is. But then in-game and halftime adjustments are clearly not their strength. They are not good at that. They do not adjust well, and their opposing team, who is coached by a coach that has been coaching since the offseason, right, has a lot more experience than Antonio Pierce and Bo Hardigree. It shows. So I think when they play a high-end offense like Kansas City or Miami, it's not a winning formula to depend on your defense to keep you in the game, because that's what the Raiders have been doing, their defense. Against the Jets and the Giants, sure. Yeah, it's doable. But against the Chiefs and the Dolphins, it's not going to work. I can't really expect much better from what we have. I mean, I'd like to see Jacobs get 30 touches and take over a game, but that's really a lot to ask, And I'd like to see Davante Adams take over a game, but that's a lot to ask when you have a rookie quarterback who was never expected to be a starter, especially not in his rookie season,
Well, after the preseason, I think it was hard to keep him off the field over Garoppolo.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I don't know. It's the preparedness and pairing him with literally a rookie offensive coordinator and a rookie head coach. It's like their ability to game plan and adjust in game is vital, and it feels like they don't really have that, ability. So,
yeah. I think leading up into the Chiefs game, I think we were talking about how this might be the best Kansas City Chiefs defense that they've had since, the Patrick Mahomes era, So I don't think it was solely, on the, like the Raiders shooting themselves in the foot as to why they couldn't score more than 17 points. But on the other end of, the Raiders play, they just couldn't stop Kansas City. And I mean, most teams really can't. I would say this season, Kansas City has been a lot more inconsistent, but they were coming off a bye. They were coming off a bye, right? Or was that week 10? No. They had a bye week 10. Sorry. Excuse me. So.
Yeah, you're good. The only reason I know that they weren't coming off a bye is because like the 3 seasons or so prior to this season, that was always a thing with the Chiefs facing the Raiders. Was every season they would face the Raiders coming off the bye, and Andy Reid's like 17-0 coming off the bye or some shit. It's like, thanks, So.
Yeah, and then also too, you see the main difference in a lot of football games comes down to the 2 most important, positions, I guess, in football. I know you can make the case offensive line is very important, but I have to say, aside from offensive line, it's head coach and quarterback. And I don't think there's a team in the world that has a better head coach and quarterback. They have like the 2 best in their respective categories. So it was an uphill battle for the Raiders, and, unfortunately they couldn't take them down, but in a couple of weeks, the Raiders are going to have to see this team again, this time in Arrowhead,